Thank you for joining us today on Pack 14 for our show Prepare Wicomico, where we share information about emergency preparedness here in Wicomico County. I'm your host, David Fitzgerald. I'm the Emergency Management Coordinator for Wicomico County. Today in the studio we have David Shipley, who is our Emergency Services Director for Wicomico County. David, welcome to the show today.
I'm glad to be here.
And we're going to talk today about all hazards preparedness.
Yes, all hazard preparedness. One of the concepts that we have to deal with every day is we know that disasters don't plan ahead, but we know that we can, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about some natural disasters that might happen here in Wicomico County.
That's one of the most important things that when you're doing all hazard preparedness and when you're preparing your plans to deal with it, to know what your hazards are. One of the hazards that threaten us on a summertime basis is hurricanes. Now, often associated with hurricanes are tornadoes. We also have a significant number of severe thunderstorms, and again, tornadoes can be associated with those also. We should also know how to deal with power outages, which can happen any time of the year, particularly in the summertime when there's a huge demand for power, how we would deal with those.
Okay, well, let's start with your list and let's talk a little bit about hurricanes and how people could prepare for the hurricane season.
The comments that I'll make about the hurricane season can be applicable to a number of the things, like we had mentioned, all hazard. One of the very first things that everybody needs to do is have an emergency kit. And what an emergency kit is a 3-day supply of water. Generally, we recommend a gallon of water for every adult in a house. And I don't want you to forget your pets because they have to consume water also. And then we would suggest very strongly having non-perishable goods, enough for everybody for 3 days. You should have a first aid kit, a NOAA weather radio, and things like that that are going to help prepare you for whatever happens.
Good. And some of the suggestions, they can fill up their bathtub with water as well as get bottled water, so that helps out. And you mentioned about the pets, so that's very important.
The other thing I'd also mention is even though you say you only have a 3-day supply, there's going to be other foodstuffs in your house. So quite frankly, you're going to probably have 4 or 5 days if you're requested to shelter in place.
And let's remind the viewers again about the NOAA weather radio, what that does and why they should have that.
The NOAA weather radio is something my department promotes that every family should have. They're inexpensive radios, especially when we have impending severe weather like a hurricane. It broadcasts National Weather Service alerts and information, protective actions that you can take, and it does it on a continuing basis, and it's real time.
That's great. And as David said, they can be purchased at your local department stores, online, and they're very inexpensive, but a valuable, valuable piece for every home that they should have. Talking a little bit about tornadoes, let's remind the viewers about our tornado sirens, our alert warning sirens that we have here in Wicomico County.
Yes, the thing that's very interesting about tornadoes, we call them a spontaneous disaster. It's a spontaneous event. We really only have seconds, in some cases minutes, to try to warn our public. We have a citizens alert warning siren system that has some 13 sirens that we can set off into the county. What happens is the National Weather Service alerts us in the 911 center that there is a tornado warning. Anytime that occurs, we can identify the geographical area that the tornado warning applies to, and we can actually set the sirens off in that area that we can identify. Or we can set the sirens off in the whole county if we had multiple tornadoes that were going.
That's good, and it's important to remind the viewers that we're at the dependence of the National Weather Service to activate those sirens, or a 911 caller before our operators know to activate those sirens.
That's correct, but I want to assure the public we do not lose time. The communications supervisors vested with the power to set those sirens off based upon guidance that we have given them ahead of time. They do not have to call management or me to get authorization to do that, so we are responding as quickly as we can in real time.
And if they want to hear a sample of that siren, we'll have a sample played here today on Pack 14 during our interview. And we also test those sirens once a month.
That is correct. It's the first Monday of every month at 6:30 p.m. You'll hear a 15-second blast that comes predominantly from the fire department sirens that are located there. It lasts for only 10 seconds. Now, the difference in the siren then if we put off a real warning is it will go off and it'll be a constant sounding siren for 2 minutes. Now, you'll be able to differentiate that from the fire department sirens, because they go up and down in frequency. Now, if you hear the siren go off for that 2 minutes, what we want you to do is stop what you're doing and get into shelter as quickly as possible. You need to take that protective action. We do not want you to call 911. We want you to turn on and tune into your local news media to find out what is going on.
All right, Dave, that's great that you described all that to us. We're going to give the viewers an opportunity here on the show to hear what that siren sounds like at this time. There's other things. You mentioned the local media to tune in after the sirens. Where else can the public get information about the Department of Emergency Services or all hazards preparedness?
One of the main things to get real-time information, and we support the local news media by pushing out press releases and information. So we want you to go there, and also radio stations too. Now there's other places you can go. You can go to our website, which is www.wicomicocounty.org/ES. You can go to our Facebook page, Twitter, and you can go to other sources that are pushed out.
Okay, great. I think we've covered a lot of information today to help our viewers. Thank you, David Shipley, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today here on Prepare Wicomico.
You can always take time to share emergency preparedness information with our community, and thank you for having me.
And we certainly thank PAC 14 for this opportunity to share all this wonderful information on Prepare Wicomico. Again, as Director Shipley said, please visit the website, www.wicomicocounty.org/ES, for wonderful information about emergency preparedness here in Wicomico County.